Hello and welcome to Project Vayner episode 80. Project Vayner is my documentation of my journey as a content creator towards getting a job at Vayner Media in New York City. Once every month I'm doing a live episode in this vlog and I'm trying to invite a new guest every time. This time we have guest number, I think it's 17. And it's another content creator. He's from Germany. I've been following him for a while. He's also freelancing and he's been doing a lot of like collaborations and creating meetups for people to network with each other and stuff. And yeah, there's a lot of questions I have about that, and I think it's gonna be some valuable content and tips for you watching this as well. So before we jump into the questions, I'm going to show you a short little video about the guest.
Thanks to Florian, our super mega awesome highlight man.
As you know by now, I really like to take your suggestions, and someone commented below under one of the recent videos that I should look at a video called Magic of Hong Kong.
And he asked me a couple of days ago if I could come down and help him and film the event.
Here, this is one is a super wide angle lens that they have. What I enjoy most is helping those who want to get serious about building a business for themselves to help them do that.
Today we're going to talk about how to overcome camera shyness.
That's also how I came up with the idea with the meetups. Yes! Perfect, okay.
Let's go!
Some sort of a movement, either forward, backwards, upwards. And then when here the other wall comes in, here they masked it out, and then this is the next shot.
And the secret behind all that is, it just takes a freaking long amount of time.
Funny to see all that.
And here we have the guest. Welcome, Florian Land.
Hello, hello, hello. It's so cool to be on the episode, David.
Cool. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's been a while since we last met, right? That's
Yeah.
already like, if I'm looking on the calendar, that's like half a year ago already.
Yeah.
Time's flying.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, so I'm doing great. I'm sitting here in Germany in my little YouTube studio, aka living room, as you can see in the background. Yeah. Just doing my standard editing and working on project life. So that's how it's been for me for the last couple of months. Yeah, I guess you probably know that. The life of a freelance content creator.
Yeah, exactly. I guess for us, it's like we're probably like one of the people that hasn't seen such a big difference because we're home editing anyways.
Yeah, the funny thing is when the entire lockdown thing started and everyone was like, oh, I need to sit home. I don't even know what to do at home. And that's weird to sit in sweatpants all day long. I'm like, okay, that is actually my everyday life. So for me, nothing much has changed, to be honest, except the part with going out for filming projects and so on. So that, of course, slowing down a bit. But other than that, it's like business as usual, to be honest, for the last couple of months.
Yeah, cool. So you still are getting like client work and stuff, even though we have this situation.
I've been having so for those of you watching who have never seen me before, is I do freelance video work. So I do video production for companies that need videos produced for their marketing mainly, especially companies that need video for their Instagram and YouTube marketing. At the beginning of the year, I had a very big video campaign for like a German startup. They needed videos about their clients that they wanted to use for their sales process, as well as for online marketing, especially performance marketing, to get new leads for their software solution. And now I'm working on a big campaign for a very known international outdoor brand, and all of that, like most of that, I can do from home, unless I need to go out and film something. But to be honest, this entire, like, now we're in the middle of June. And this year I've been out, I think, for 6 days of filming. That's it. Everything else was just either on the phone, at home, editing, or any of that.
Yeah, that's
probably been kind of similar for you too, I guess.
Yeah, pretty similar. I actually got a new client where I'm only doing remote work. I haven't even met them. So, but I'm just happy that I have food on the table right now.
Yeah. But I totally know that same situation. I have the new project that I'm working on is exactly the same. I've met one of the guys before,
Oh.
but the entire project goes from remote, and it's a very comfortable situation to be in. And yeah, lucky that works, because otherwise, like if you would do video production work and all those things, then how would you go out and film something if all the businesses need to do home office working? So I was a bit concerned when the anti-lockdown thing started, but I was lucky that I still had a project where I basically just had 4 more weeks of editing, and then another one came right after. So I got lucky that the lockdown and the corona craziness went around me, and didn't really hurt my business that badly.
Yeah. I know one thing that probably had a negative consequence is for your creative circle meetups. If you want to talk
that was
more about that.
Painful. So a little background. I started as a video creator about 3 years ago. I guess that's by now 3 years ago. And at that point in time, I did not know how the entire thing worked. I didn't have any friends who were doing anything similar, so I had to teach myself everything. I didn't have any contacts. And to me, that was super painful, because it brought me to the moment where I was about to quit several times. And the first year was super painful to figure out how to get paid enough, and so on. And then like 2 years later, when I then eventually got to know a couple of people who are doing YouTube videos, a couple of people that are doing like influencer work and so on, then eventually came the point where I thought like, hey, it doesn't have to be the same for those people who are just starting out. We can kind of make some sort of a meetup together so that people that want to do this freelance video creation YouTube stuff, that they could just meet and connect with each other, so that they could help each other and maybe find a video buddy. Because let's be honest, like we always see those people on YouTube and on Instagram, and it seems like, yeah, everybody's doing freelance video stuff now. But if I count in my friendship circle, it's just a fat zero of people that I personally know from my friendship circle that do anything similar. And then the town where I'm living, it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
So I came up with this idea, hey, let's just put together like a meetup. And Stockholm was the easiest to make it, because I knew a couple of YouTubers there. And so the first one, that was the one where you joined in end of November.
Yeah.
So it started super small. I think we had like, was it 20 people or so there, roundabout. That was the idea. Hey, we're just going to put up a meetup together. I organize a location for free. Let's just invite people that want to learn from YouTubers and content creators that have been doing it for a while. That's how that started. And then I made a second and a third one in November and one in January this year. And they just grew bigger and bigger. So the second one was like 45 people. The last one we did was like 70 people. And I was super motivated. Yeah, I'm going to do it every other month. I'm going to do one. I'm going to do 6 in Stockholm this year. And then in between, I'm going to make one in Germany. Then I'm going to make one in London and so on. And then the Corona thing came and I was like, okay, let's kill the entire thing for now and postpone it till later. So yeah, I mean, the entire thing started out really well. I think people were super excited that there was something like this, because I don't think there's anything remotely similar for those content creator freelance people. And it was really about bringing those people together that are already a bit more advanced and that have been doing it for a while, and that you might know from YouTube and so on already. And those who are just starting out, because I think in the end, the thing that often happens is that people that have starting at zero is they look up to everyone else who's so far ahead and has their 100,000 subscribers, without realizing that those are also just normal people that started at the exact same point, maybe just 2 or 3 years earlier. So that was the kind of the entire idea behind the meetups. Too bad they're currently postponed, but I mean, they're not canceled entirely. The idea is not canceled entirely, so I'll pick it up as soon as it's going to be working again, maybe like end of this year. Let's try shoot for that, but yeah.
Do you think there is any possibility that there will be any digital version of it with like a Zoom meeting or something?
I was thinking about it, but to be honest, to me, that is like not really it doesn't have the same vibe, because it's more about the informal, the personal contact, so that you can walk up to someone and meet them in person. That's the entire idea behind it. So on the last meetup, we had a couple of like pretty known guests. So Peter Lindgren, who is now, I think soon 300,000 subscribers. Swedish guy, Benjamin Ortega, who has like 300,000 followers on Instagram. And then Johnny Edlund, who's like one of the most known Instagrammers in Sweden. So those are like people that you would never meet normally.
Yeah.
And the entire idea or the entire point without the meetup is that they can bring in some of their audience because they would be super excited to meet up with them. And I feel like physical is the actual thing that this is supposed to go for. And the digital version, it's missing something in my point of view. I mean, it's cool that we can do everything digitally at the moment, but it still lacks the like interacting with people in the audience and then afterwards having a chat together, maybe drinking a beer together. That like you can't replace that through the computer, unfortunately. So far I have not planned any digital version of that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm excited for the next one, especially because I missed the last two ones. I had like two trips planned, and it was exactly when those events were.
Yeah, a little background. So on the first one that I did, I asked David if he could come and help me film with it. So that was the one that I think you posted a video about it, right?
Yeah.
So people want to go and check it out. I just looked at your channel. It's like episode 64 or something.
Yeah, something like that. I put the link in the description later.
Yeah, perfect. So that was in November. And then in January, that was in October. And then in November, I was organizing the next one. And then I was like, David, can you help me film again? I need someone. And then I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm on a trip. I'm like, no. And then in January, I was giving it another try. David, can you help and film again? It's like, no, I'm on a trip. And what were you writing? Like, I'm in Bali.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what?
Yeah.
So on the next one, I'll give you a heads up for like 6 weeks ahead so that you can actually plan around to not miss it again. But I mean, your chances are pretty good because so far the most likely next location, they're gonna stay in Stockholm for now until it's growing into anything bigger. So because that's easiest for me to organize. So expect there will be some more, but next time you will not be allowed to have an excuse.
Yeah, I agree. I just dropped the link to the episode about it in the chat if someone is interested.
It's so funny because I was the first one, and then it might also be interesting to see the progression. I think the other videos are I have totally slacked on my channel lately, so I haven't even posted the vlog about the third meetup, which was in January. Shame on that's like kind of that's the problem when you're doing a lot of client work and when you're focusing on that. That content suffers.
I know what you mean. I went to Norway in December and was going to make like a short film, like a project for myself. Still haven't edited that. So yeah.
That's what you call the editor backlog.
Exactly.
So here on this hard drive is so much stuff that still needs to be edited, like YouTube videos and so on. There's like just waiting to be edited, and I'm like, the client stuff's more important. The client stuff pays the bills. And like, let's try to do it today. Because I mean, in the end, if that's your work, then it starts in the time that you're in your free time. Then the last thing you want to do is also edit. That's something that I noticed very much when I shifted from having it as a hobby to getting paid for doing it. It's like it shifts away from like you only have so much like mental capacity for editing per week, and then if that gets used up for editing client projects, then the personal projects get left.
Yeah, that's actually a question that I have. Like, how do you balance your personal project with the client work? Because like you talked about, the client work is still like paying for your rent and putting food on the table and stuff, but maybe you want to put some time into project that like develops you and takes you in that direction that you want to go. So how do you kind of know what client projects to take on? And
I think it's a kind of a funny situation at the moment because this is a perfect example for this. So this year so far, like in January I had that last meetup, and then at the same time I started like the first big project for this year, the one for the software company. And then at that moment it's like I'm only taking projects at the moment that I know they pay a big chunk of money, so that it's worth taking them on. and worth dealing with all the editing and the hassle involved that comes with every project.
No.
And then any smaller projects, I'm just going to decline it. Anything that is like, by now I'm in the lucky position that anything that is below like 5,000 or 6,000 euros, I'm just going to, I'll pass on that one for now. So that I know that when a big project comes in, then I'll take that on and I'll drop everything else, because I know it's only so much money that you need to come in to make the year go round, right? And now basically with the first big 2 projects that I have in, I'm basically set for the rest of the year. So at the middle of July or end of July, I could take the end of the rest of the entire year to just focus on my own project. But that's what I see is the problem with many video creators. They don't focus on the business side of things first, and spend more time in the creative stuff, in the artsy stuff, and then turn into the struggling artist.
Right.
And I've been in that situation, and I decided that is way too much mental stress for me. So I want to always be sure that I prioritize the business side of things first, so that I can put food on the table, I can afford the gear that I need, I can sort all that out. It's a little bit like when you're sitting in the airplane and the cabin pressure drops and they fold the masks down. There's a reason why they say put your mask on first.
Yeah.
Because you might die within 15 seconds if you don't. And then you can't help anyone else. But if you put it on first, and then you can help everyone else around. It's kind of the exact same thing with the business side of being a freelancer. Figure the stuff with the money stuff and running it as a business for yourself out first. Then you can focus on helping others. Because in the meantime, I was like, okay, do I just not stop posting and stop making own projects and stop helping people on my YouTube channel? And I decided, because if I'll have to figure out my own business first, then I'll be much quicker in a position where I can then actually help people from a point where I have sorted things out for myself. So lately there's a very clear answer to your question, is that currently no personal projects, all client business and making that work. Stopped uploading on my YouTube channel because I didn't really have the time to do something, but I also wanted to change the direction of my channel a little bit. So, but I have a plan in a drawer, and I was ready to start that plan exactly a month ago, and then that other big project came in. I was like, okay, do I take that project on now, or do I make my own stuff? And then I just decided I'm going to write a very big number on the quote, and then I was like, okay, for that money I'll take on that project. And so I took on that project.
So, is there anything in the project itself, like what type of project it is, that also is important for if you're taking it or not? Or is it only like, no, I'm only doing projects over a certain level, like economy wise? Or is it like it's only a different type of project?
As a first of all, is if I'm not the right person for the thing, and they could just get anyone else, then I'm most likely then I'll tell them I'd probably find a cheaper option to have it done. And then in general, if it's not something that I would get super excited about it, and then just doing something for the money that doesn't really interest me, I wouldn't do that, because then in that moment, then I'd rather focus on my own things and push those forward. So it got to be a bit of both. And I'm by now in the lucky position that occasionally I get those requests that tick both boxes, that are like, first of all, interesting, second of all, right, the thing that I can do, and third of all, they pay well enough so that I can take them on and prioritize that over everything else. So at the moment, and in the long term, I'm going to try to just go for those projects.
And I know you've been doing this for a couple of years now, I think. I just started freelancing like 1 year ago, so I still feel like it's unusual feeling to actually be able to say no to something, because like when I was hired, I couldn't really say no, because then I'm gonna be there 40 hours per week anyways, and I have to do the stuff that I get. But was it like a transition phase for you, getting used to that, to actually choose what type of work that you do, or did it come natural for you?
I have one instant that I can think back to, which was a project with a client that I already had, and they were very excited about my work on the previous project. And then like half a year later, they wanted to do another project with me. And they asked me to submit a quote, and I knew that on the first one, to get my foot in the door, it was much less. I asked for much less money than I knew it would be worth. At that point in time, I also didn't really know about pricing and all those sorts of things. So I walked away with way too little money in hindsight. But for me, that was perfectly okay at that point in time, because the project was really exciting. And then later they came back and asked for like, okay, could you do something similar for us again? And send us a quote. And then I sent them a quote, and then they asked, okay, could we do many more of those for like 3 times more for 2 times more of the price? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So I can calculate a little bit in between, but I knew that it would take me like 6 to 9 months for the entire project, 6 to 9 months out of my year for that project. I'm like, no. It was a pretty big amount of money. And still, at that point in time, I would have needed money badly, but I was like, no, this is not according to the time and effort that I'm going to put into this. And then that leads to me being rushed. That leads to me feeling under pressure that I need to cut corners in the editing and in the shooting and so on to calculate it that it also works in my rates realistically. And then I felt like then they would get worse videos because I feel rushed and I need to tell them, "No, we can't do that third round of revisions because I'm not being paid accordingly." So I say then it's bad for them also if I would take that on just for getting the money, and then we'll not be happy with the videos and we'll end up having me telling you like we cannot do another round of revisions. And so I decided for both their sake and for my sake, it would be better to just say no. And that was that main moment where I thought like, okay, I would have needed that money, but it felt really good and it felt right in that moment to just say no. Because for me, communicated, I was not doing it for the money. I was doing like what was the right decision. And from that moment for me, it was like, there's no problem in saying no. Because like 3 months later, there was another project and we did another project again. And I feel like in that moment, they were surprised that I was standing up for this. And that's when then in later projects, it was clear that I would stick to my prices.
Right.
And since then, I haven't backed down from any of this.
Has it become easier or like as the years has passed? Or
yeah, I mean, especially the one thing that makes it a lot easier if you have good references and then you look at your own work and you think like, wow, cool, okay, I did that one. And then for me in the beginning, I was struggling very much with self-doubt. It's like, can I charge that much? Can I charge for doing something that is my hobby actually? And then as the projects come in and then they go through and then you think like, wow, I created that one. Wow, I created that one. And that's when you get more confident saying, yeah, my work is worth that. That's what companies have been paying before. So obviously I'm going to charge this amount. And then with every single project, I was like, okay, I'm going to just try to charge 20% more, 20% more or 30% more. And that is just what I've been continuing to do. And so far it's been working out. And then in the last like 1 or 1.5 years, I've spent a lot of time trying to educate myself in like the business side of being a freelance person. So negotiations, pricing, sales calls, and all that sort of stuff to, then figure out how to actually get paid appropriately to what you're delivering. Because even though it's something creative and people think like, wow, he's just making a couple of videos, that's the way how marketing works these days.
Yeah.
And if companies sell products or services through this, then that's just how, like a TV commercial. And back in the day, TV commercials would have cost a couple of €100,000. So why wouldn't you just spend an according like amount that is similar to the reach that you have on Instagram or YouTube for someone who creates that commercial for you?
Yeah, I think that's is a really good point that like sometimes it feels like you should only charge for like the hours that you put in, but then if you get quicker and you do stuff faster, should you then charge less because you're faster? Like that doesn't really make sense, but you should think about like what value is I actually bringing to the company? How much more leads and how much more money will they get in by this video? And that's what it's actually worth, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly the way that I came up to also change the way I write proposals and the way that I charge for my projects and so on, to go away from like the standard I charge by a day rate or by an hourly rate and all those sorts of things, to more really think about what is it worth to the company that I'm doing the video production for.
Yeah. And also with I have a title on this live episode that is how to become a freelancing content creator. So I feel that I should ask you about how it was when you actually started and you took the step from like being hired somewhere to actually starting freelancing. Was it like something a thought you digested for a long time, or was it more like, no, I'm just gonna go for it?
Let's say it was painful, especially the first year. So I was finishing university in 2017. That was the last year of studying for me. At that time, I was working on trying to found a startup company. In the end of 2017, like that company went down. We had to stop it. It wasn't working. At the same time, I was finishing my studies, and through that year, I had started making like compilation videos for John Olsen. That was just I was trying to get in as an editor for them, and that was my way of trying to get my way in the door. And then at one point in time, I realized like that's also not leading anywhere, but I want to grow this into something. So I decided, hey, I'm a little bit safe now. I have my university degree, so let's just risk it and try to go after this freelance and YouTube thing. So I went on a trip to Thailand in the beginning of 2018, so 2.5 years ago. And the entire purpose of the trip was just for me filming every single day, filming, editing, practicing. That's actually a couple of clips that you edited into the intro.
Yeah. Is that from the Land Far Away vlog?
That is exactly that series.
That's a great name, by the way.
I know, it fit well, right?
Yeah.
So that's how also I started my YouTube channel. And that's when at the same time I was convinced that I need to somehow figure it out, because I had no other money coming in. I needed to rent out this apartment because I knew that I wouldn't want to pay my monthly expenses from savings. I gave myself like a timeline of about 6 months until the savings that I had dedicated for this entire experiment would run out. So it was clear that until then it needs to work. Until then I need to make money. So I needed to figure out a couple of things. And the first one was that I reached out to a YouTuber that I was watching at that time, asking him if I could help him with editing his videos. That was my first then client for like longer term editing. Before that I had made a couple of small things, but like for in the €100 range for per project. And then at the same time also I reached out to a fairly known company, Epidemic Sound, because I had this one idea where like, oh yeah, I have this thought of a series, and that turned out to be my very first paid video project that I did filming for. Which is kind of at that moment in time, I was like, oh, okay, better not fuck it up. Yeah. And I think when they hired me and then they saw me on the shoot afterwards, one of the guys told me, he's like, oh, I was wondering what the fuck kind of guy did we hire here? He looks like, because I had this tiny camera and I was standing like this with the strap on my holding it like this, and it looked ridiculous. But you can look at the video now, like the ones that I'm talking about is Epidemic Sound, The Leap, Kara and Nate. If you look at that episode and type that in, that's my first paid video project. Like filming and editing, not just editing, filming and editing and concept and so on. Yeah, and that's how it started. And then things grew from there. And that first year was pretty painful, especially in terms of figuring out with the money side of things, because I had no idea how to charge enough for that. So that's how it got me into it. So first it was tiny. So first I had the very first thing was these John Olsen highlight edits. Then I got these first requests for a tiny bit of paid editing. Then I decided for going for that trip to Thailand, start my YouTube channel. And at the same time, I got a YouTuber that I've edited his videos for like a year to make money come in every month. And at that same time, I had my first project for Epidemic Sound. And that's how things grew from there. And then
so I guess you're basically was just decided to make this work and then just go 100% all in on it.
And that's a thing I knew for myself. The other option would have been to get a job and work like 80% and take the rest of the time to try and make it work. But I know myself, and I know that then things would get buried, and I wouldn't take those 3 other days a week to make it happen. So I knew that I would need the pressure of having to figure it out. It's kind of the burning the boats analogy, or however you would want to call it, is if you want to be, I heard a quote once from like a professional photographer. I don't know exactly, can remember his name, but if the only way to become a professional content creator, if we translate it, is if you have to become a professional content creator. So there was no backup. I mean, there was a backup option in the sense that I had finished my degree, but at that moment there was no other money coming in. It was that thing or nothing. And then at least afterwards I could say, hey, I tried it and it didn't work, but I gave it all that I had, and not just I dabbled with it on the weekend and tried to make it work next to another job. So for me, it was clear that it was that way or no other way. And luckily it worked so far.
Yeah, it's super cool to follow and see the stuff that you're doing. And what I really like, the impression I get from your channel and the stuff that you're doing is that you're always thinking about how you can help others, how you can provide value. Also with this like creator meetup, the whole idea of it, like you could do other stuff or you could have more client work, but instead you like put time and energy into helping other creators network with each other and have the chance to ask questions to you guys. So yeah, I think that's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, that one is from the outside, of course, it always looks like it's so cool that you're doing this for other people. But in the end, of course, I'm also doing it for myself, right? Because first of all, I wish something would have been there back when I started. So that is the entire motivation behind it. And then I think this is how many things start.
Yeah.
And then at the same time is I enjoy standing there on stage and telling people about, hey, this can actually work. And talking through the way that I achieved it, and then having other people there on stage with me talking about how they made it. Because in the end, I feel like this entire, or the more people that I tell about, hey, I'm fully self-employed at the moment, the response or the reaction that I often get is, I wish I would be able to do that. Because I think most people think like, if I could quit my job and if I could figure out a way to sustain myself from an own business, like 90% of people are thinking that, and 10% of people are trying it. And out of those 10, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 are for the long term managing to achieve it and go through with it.
Yeah.
But if you would just hear, so the big idea with this first series that I made for Epidemic Sound was I wanted to interview YouTubers that are way ahead of me. And the reason was, if you can see how those people started in the very beginning, and if you can hear their stories and you can see yourself in them, that clicks that switch. And that's exactly also why you need to meet them in person. And that clicks that switch, and then you hear like, and you see, oh, that's also just another person. They had the same doubts, they had the same problems they had to overcome in the beginning. So if they figured it out, why the hell shouldn't I be able to do it? And that maybe out of those 90 people that would want to start their own thing, and instead of 10 people just trying it, maybe it turns into 25. And then eventually, yeah, that's gonna help more people doing the same thing, and actually figuring out how to turn what they like doing much more than what they're doing at their normal job, to figure out how to turn it into business and make a living out of it.
Yeah. And
so that's like, if you like, the 10-year mission is to help more people achieve exactly that.
Yeah. And I realize now when
background behind the channel and the meetups.
Yeah. I realize now when you're talking about it that, because I've been following you for a while, so I like almost forgot how I discovered you, like your channel, but I think I was actually searching for like freelancing content creator or something, because it was something that I wanted to do myself. And I know I found your channel and like, oh, this is someone that is actually like doing it, and he's going through the journey himself, and he's sharing like how to do it and where to start and stuff. So I think that's how I started like looking into your video. So yeah, and now I'm freelancing, so
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's exactly that thing, because then you see like, oh, it's just another dude that is doing exactly that thing that I want to do. He's just maybe a year ahead of me. And that's when you see yourself in that. And then if along the way you hear what I figured out for myself, hey, this is working, this is working, this is not working, don't do this. That's eventually how it's going to make it so much easier for you. And back when I started as the YouTube thing, I was watching people like Peter McKinnon and so on, and they quickly became so big that I couldn't see myself in them, and that was the huge problem that I had when I feel like it starts. You see them up here and you are down here, and it's not relatable. Yeah, and that's the huge gap, and that you think like, I'll never get to that level, so why even start? Whereas if you bring that person down here, and then it's like, the realization is, wow, that person had the exact same struggles, and then he started anyway, so I might as well start too. As a complete different way of seeing it, just by bringing that person in the perception down from there to here.
So I think an advice we can give to everyone that is starting out is to come to the next creative circle.
that definitely. Yeah, I mean, so this is just I think it's with those first 3 meetups, they were a test, right? So, and I want to see if it goes bigger. The second one I did actually with Epidemic Sound together, to see is like, okay, can we do this into something bigger? Does this help to have a brand involved? And then the third one was to see, hey, can I do this myself? Just me, I'm organizing everything, I'm bringing the people there, I'm paying for everything, basically. So anything around the meetup that has to somehow be paid, I was paying for it, and try to make that work. And it did work, and I think it turned out really cool. If you've seen you need to look at the pictures. It was like 70 people, and the room was full, and I'm super excited that we made that happen. Yeah. So it's just a matter of time when they're gonna come back, and then eventually, if we turn this into a bigger thing, that's something. It's like a passion project of mine in that sense. So I'll try to make it work so that they come back. Yeah, it's definitely not been the last one.
Yeah. So if we go into some specific things that you have done for your YouTube channel, I thought it might be valuable for the people watching. Like, what are your 5 maybe biggest takeaways from how you went from just starting your channel to where you are right now?
Yeah. So if anyone would come to my YouTube channel now, they would very quickly find a series that's called Editor Reacts. So in the beginning, when I started the YouTube channel, I made that travel video series, right? And that was the only purpose with that, was not to really grow it. I have, of course, hoped it might grow it, but it was really for me to focus on video production, getting better at it, the entire YouTube process, uploading, getting practice, as much practice as possible. So I did 40 videos there. It basically was all just practice. That was like the first phase. And then the second phase started like half a year later, when I've decided, okay, now I want to start growing it into something so that it gets a little bit of traction. And then that moment I decided, hey, I'm going to turn it into like a little bit of a vlog that people would get an idea for, what is this all about? Why would I subscribe? And that was the idea with making it about becoming a freelance content creator. And then I was trying with a whole bunch of ideas. I was making gear review videos. I was making all sorts of other videos that were similar to what I saw on other channels working. And then eventually I came to this one experiment that I did, was reacting to Andreas Hem's new video. He's like a fairly known video creator from Norway. And so that video, after a week after posting, it really took off. And I was like, wow, okay, that is exciting. And then I thought, okay, now let's keep trying that and see where that leads. And I think by now I have made like 20 or 25 of those reaction videos, because I figured out, hey, this is actually how I can grow my channel. And that's what I focused on for like the majority of 2019, so last year, to make more of these videos to grow my channel. So that was the second big phase. And now I feel like it's gotten a bit stale. Those are repetitive. At the same time, it doesn't challenge me creatively, because every video is the same and I don't do any editing or production. So the next phase, when I'm gonna restart my channel again, hopefully sometime soon, then it's going to be going away from those reaction videos and putting, basically trying to live off of other people's faces, which is eventually what made the entire series grow, because someone found their favorite creators in the thumbnail. And then I saw like, okay, there's this random guy, Florian, who's doing a reaction to him. And now the next stage is going to be way more focused on my things, for the long term.
Right.
But that was the biggest learning for me, was I needed to have one phase to really learn the entire thing, because it takes so much time and it takes so much effort to be on camera, to figure everything out with YouTube. And then the second big phase was to figure out how can I start making it grow. And then the third one is going to be how to then also make it turn into a business, because to be honest, like the YouTube channel, that is just, it barely makes any money, even if at a level with 25,000 subscribers or so, whatever it is at the moment, that it doesn't make any money.
But is it like helping to maybe get more awareness for companies reaching out to you or stuff?
I thought that, but to be honest, most of the projects that I've gotten was way more from people from my personal network, and they would more likely follow me on Instagram, because they are too busy to watch longer form YouTube content that is about editing. So most of the people how I got those two big projects throughout this year, they are people that I know from my personal network, that wouldn't have the time or interest to watch editing related videos. But they see when I post an Instagram picture of me filming on a project with a camera rig like this one, that looks fairly professional. And that's what they see. And then when I post make a post about any of my projects, then that's what they see. And that, I think, was way more helpful. And the YouTube channel on the other side, then with 25,000 subscribers, I think 26, I don't know, is it gives you credibility, because people see then like, okay, the guy must know what he's doing, otherwise he wouldn't have 26,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
So from the bringing new projects in, I haven't really seen that much of an effect from it, but definitely from the credibility side.
Is it like anything that you have been doing, like let's say behind the scenes? I mean, not with the actual videos, but maybe with how you're promoting it, or how you're using tags, how you think about how you title the videos, like all that work that you can put in that people maybe don't think about when they only see the end result.
Titles, tags, and thumbnails. That's the three things. I did not do any promotion outside from YouTube, not on any other social media channels and so on. It was really I was going in with the thought that YouTube is a little bit like a card dealer. So think about you sitting on a poker table, and then YouTube is there shuffling the cards, and then you say stop, and then YouTube shows you like 4, 5, or 6 different cards, and then you're allowed to pick one. Those are the thumbnails, and YouTube knows what you like. And they know what people in general like. So they might put in a card that is from your favorite creator. Then they might put one in that is about the current news. And then they might put on from a viral video. And then you need to figure out, how do you get in that stack of cards that YouTube is shuffling to show to that person who's sitting on the other end. And I was like, well, I watch all these travel filmmakers, and they have a lot of following. So they have an audience. So how can I make a thumbnail that would be interesting for YouTube to potentially show that to someone to make them click on it? So I was like, okay, Andreas Hem is someone that a lot of people know. How about I make a thumbnail and a title that includes me and Andreas Hem, with me not having any personal relation with him at all, and try to make that sexy for YouTube so they would show it to his audience. And that's how the entire editor reaction series grew. So it's not that big, but grew actually. And I think one of the videos has above 100,000 views, which is huge for my channel at that point in time, considering I had like 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers, simply because there was a guy that a lot of people knew. I put him in the thumbnail, I tagged it properly, editing techniques, I think it was JRLE. That's the most viewed video from the reaction videos. That was like JRLE transitions, JRLE editing techniques, JRLE YouTube video, and so on. I was going crazy on using up all the tags and putting his face in the thumbnail and making the title with the reaction format. So editor reacts to JR, and that was basically all came together, and that's what helped grow it. So that was a big learning for me, though.
Right. And do you also plan videos ahead of time, or for your vlogging videos, for example? Is it more like you film it first and then you decide title and tags and stuff?
Yeah, those are more like, I know that most of them don't really get any traction anyway, so I'm not too picky about it. I see them way more as building relationship with whoever is watching them. So I don't really care to optimize them that much when it's just about so there's a difference between a growth video and a relationship building video in that sense. And then the ones that are supposed to grow your channel, then you would focus a lot of time on the thumbnail, title, and tags. And the other ones I feel is like, try to get them out quicker, less effort, less hassle. And of course, they're not going to get as much traction, but then they're also not so painful to figure everything out and make it and optimize it.
Yeah, that's something that I've heard from other places as well, to like have an idea with what type of video, like what purpose is this video doing or has. Like, is it supposed to get a lot of traction, a lot of views, or is it more to like give back to the followers and like give tips and ideas or stuff? So do you feel also like, okay, this is what this video is gonna like generate, or this is the purpose of this video before you start filming?
Yeah, 100% agree. It's really every video is, so for example, the travel series that I did, it's kind of pointless. Why would you watch those? Because a bigger YouTuber has already been there and made and here are those like those videos more like, why would someone watch it? So the one big realization for me was to go away from making, I call it the difference between making MeTube videos and YouTube videos. Like, people watch videos on YouTube for themselves. They don't want to hear about you. They care about what it does for them. And if that means watching your life, like Casey Neistat, because you want to be entertained, great. If that means you want to learn about photography and so on, or video, and that helps them, Peter McKinnon, great. But it needs to help them first, and you need to have them in mind first, so that actually people will start looking at it and care about what you're uploading.
Yeah, I think that's a really big thing, to focus on the people that is actually going to watch it. And I feel that myself a lot of times when I'm filming stuff, and I feel like, yeah, this is interesting for me, but is it actually interesting for the people watching this? And like, why should they watch this video? What are they going to get out of this video?
Because in the end, you need to always think about, all those videos are for free, but there's a reason why it's called paying attention. So when someone watches your video, they're paying with their time. So it might look like it's a free video, but they pay for it by not being able in that same second to watch something else. And that means that yours must be more valuable than anything else they could watch at that same time. And their YouTube feed is going to be flooded with things. They could watch something on Instagram. They could watch something funny on TikTok. So the only way to get people to watch it is your videos worth more to them than any other option they have at the moment.
Yeah, totally. And what is like a common mistake that you see small creators are doing when they're just starting out and want to grow a YouTube channel?
So more focus on the YouTube side of things, not on the freelancing side of things. If
we focus on the building like a big YouTube channel, we start with this dream?
What I feel is one of the biggest things that I see is overcomplicating things and focusing on production quality when what actually drives people to watch is like content quality. So, and that's a huge difference because people always think like, I need a better camera, I need better lighting, I need all this, I need better audio equipment, I need to make it look cooler and all those sort of things. When at the same time, people watch shitty phone videos if it gives them what they're looking for. Over the last year, I've started a YouTube channel for my mom. She cannot edit, she cannot color grade, she can barely, she can't figure out how to get files from a camera into the computer and upload it. So what she does is she films with the phone, she puts it like this, she records her hands and talks, and she has 6,500 subscribers on YouTube now because she's been doing it for a year now, and she's uploading a video every day or every other day, and it gives people what they're looking for. And the production quality and like actual quality of the video is very bad, if you would say so, from a video production side of from a video production view. But that doesn't matter because that's not why people watch it. They watch it because what she's talking about. And that is the big problem that I see with many starting content creators. They feel like I need to have the better camera. They're marketing the drones to me. I feel like I need to buy that new Canon camera and all those sorts of things. And then they spend thousands of euros on all that instead of just keeping that money and focusing on just figuring out what's the actual content value that people come to you to watch for. And take that money, put it aside, and not having to work at the same time, so that you can put more thought and time into developing what your content shall be. So that's a huge thing that I see, people not realizing that it's about the content and the main message, and it's not at all about the video production quality. And the second thing is, and that goes also in the video, in the freelancing area, is people burn so much money on dumb gear, and that goes into your, coming back to your Project Vayner thing, like they're buying dumb shit, as Gary would say.
Yeah.
I see that all the time. I see guys that are like, that barely have ever gotten paid for a video project, buying a new 3,000 euro Sony or Canon camera from money they saved up. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Just buy yourself a 1,000 euro camera. And even if that, so the first camera that I bought from, my first video project I filmed on a camera that I had just had. And I needed to squeeze everything out in potential so that it looks professional enough. But it worked. It was like I still have it here to remind me of it. It's like a Samsung NX30, which is like a super shitty camera. And the first Epidemic Sound videos I filmed on this very camera. Because I had it available, and then I needed to figure out how to make it work. And I only started buying gear as soon as I had enough money saved up so that I know I could pay my rent for the next 3 months. That's when I started buying gear. So that's the next huge mistake everyone in terms of the YouTube and content creator area is doing, in my point of view.
And what's your view on collaborations? Because that's something I hear a lot about, like the power of collaborating and reaching out to other people's audience. Because I know that it's like I get the impression that it's a big part of your channel because you do this like reaction videos and you're also hosting these meetups and stuff. But is it like a purpose behind it to reach out to more people, or what's your view on that?
There's different views to it. So the standard way to view collaborations is like, I'm going to collab with a bigger YouTuber so that I get more exposure, so that I get more subscribers for my channel. And people smell that, and it stinks. So, and at that point in time, I was just thinking, is like, how could I, if I wanted to get in touch with those people, it was the same, for example, how I was thinking, how could I get in touch with John Olsen? Well, I put in about 50 hours of time and edited a fucking video for him. That's how I started building up that sort of relationship in that sense. And so I was always thinking, how can I make it really cool for them how can I offer something and then see if that is interesting to them, and if not, that's okay too. But my big realization was, for example, with the meetup thing, is all people that I asked were like, hey, this sounds like a really cool idea. I would be super excited to come. Yeah, that definitely sounds cool. And if you look at who then came to join me on the project, those are like people that have huge audience, but I didn't do it because of that. So I didn't do it because I wanted them to do a shout out about it. I wanted the people that are there to see, hey, there's someone big that you can now talk to and that is also relatable. So I didn't really care about, hey, please post about this and so on. That didn't matter to me. I was more like trying to offer something really cool for everyone. And then if they decide, yeah, they want to do it and they want to join, awesome. I had the same amount of people that I reached out to ask to invite to the meetup. They say like, yeah, no, not really interested. And that's okay too. Because in the end, it's like you have the right to try and they have the right to say no.
Yeah. And I think that like the big thing that a lot of people is missing in that is to start with providing value to the other person. A lot of people, I think, is starting with asking for something and then maybe giving something back later. But yeah.
That's it. I mean, in any field, that's always a problem. If you come in trying to wanting something first, it's instantly obvious. If you're the person reaching out, everyone knows that you're the person wanting something out of it anyway. So you might as well say what you want and at the same time offer something that is way more than worth way more than that to them. That's my big learning.
Yeah. So this is maybe a big jump in topic, but
that's okay.
When it comes to editing, every video editor knows that it takes a lot of time to edit, and it can be like confusing with like where you have all the projects, where you have all the files, especially if you start to go back to older projects and it's not linked properly or you can't find some file. So do you have like a structure for your folders, how you're building that up, and do you use like a folder template, or do you create everything from scratch?
No, I do it exactly that. I'm very OCD about it and I'm very organized about this. So I have a current hard drive that all the current projects are on. I have a template folder that is my exact organization with here's the files that come in, here's the editing files, and here's everything that comes out. And then I have such templates for different kinds of projects. So for my vlog, for my reaction video, for a client project, for a vlog that I edit for someone else. And then I would just take that template, start a new project, take that template, copy it on my hard drive, import the footage, and sort it all through there. And then that's also how I archive them later on. At any point in time, this hard drive is backed up to another similar hard drive. So there's always also a backup copy. And then as soon as it's done, it gets transferred onto like a main storage, my archive, that is a NAS system that is connected to the internet so I can access it from everywhere. That one is backed up to a main computer here that I have that just simply has the same amount of hard drives, like on a every other day rhythm or so. And then I have a third emergency backup from that main archive that is stored somewhere else, because now I'm dealing with projects that clients have paid several tens of thousands euros for. So that also means that I need to be responsible about it. So that is where the value is stored, in those files, because at the later point, they might come back in a year from now saying, hey, like, could you send us that clip again that you edited there, the trailer? And I'm like, when I'm not at home, now I need to be able to access it from anywhere in the world. And I might not be home for like the next 3 weeks. So I needed to have that system to be able to find it online. And at the same time, in case anything happens to the apartment in the meantime, I need to know there must be some sort of a backup copy somewhere else to be safe about it. So I'm very, very OCD about the file storage and management of the production side of things. It's like I have not found anyone that I've ever talked to who's more paranoid about the footage and the storage stuff.
I actually had a hard drive that crashed a couple of years ago. So after that, I've always taken backups on everything. Like I'm trying to get it
See?
into like a daily routine now.
See, my goal is to come out in like 20 years from now, having done with all this video production stuff and so on, saying like I never had a hard drive and losing footage problem.
Yeah.
Because the same is when I film on this camera here, has 2 SD card slots. Instantly filming on 2 cards, then copying it onto that hard drive, instantly making another backup. So like that is what I'm very paranoid about, because that's the shittiest position to be in. When you film a project, it needs to happen on that day. Client pays for the flights, for the hotel and everything else. They might even pay for models and everyone bringing in there. And then you fuck it up by having an SD card that the contacts broke and then the footage is lost. How that they will never hire you again.
Yeah.
And worst thing that can happen is they even tell it to other people.
Yeah.
And by spending a couple of €100 extra and figuring out a workflow that minimizes, you can never get rid of it, but minimizes the risk in every single spot. That is what I decided for my thing to do. I know people that do it completely different. They have everything on one hard drive and then they copy it and then they have one copy and that's okay for them. I could sleep, but that's it's up for everyone else to decide.
So when it comes to backup, do you have like a specific program, or do you do that automatically, or how?
So I have a program that is basically cloning hard drives, and since I'm not using a Mac, it's kind of difficult to find the software. I don't know exactly, but this is like a €25 license thing. I don't even know what the name is at the moment. But what it basically does, I plug this one in, I plug in the second hard drive, and then it's instantly mirroring it. And whenever there's a change, it recognizes and mirrors it. And same goes for like my main archive. It does the same with basically the hard drives that I stored in my tower PC. So basically, when anything changes there, it just automatically syncs it. And it's always like one main source, and then the other one is being mirrored. So not like 2 places where I would drop files on. So only one place would I drop files on, and then an instant mirroring of that one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is very deep down in file.
Yeah, but it's important.
Stores.
I mean, just like you said, if
know,
something would crash, what would happen?
I had this talk with many people before, and they're always like, "Oh, this is actually so smart. I had this hard drive fail on me," and then I say, "I never had any hard drive fail on me, and I've never lost any footage." Knock on wood. Let's hope to keep it that way.
Yeah. And like talking about structure and processes, do you have like a written process for your editing as well, or do you more like be creative and wing it? Or
no, at that time, and at the same time, it's always it's a balance between not overcomplicating it and not making it too OCD. So when I'm editing, it's very similar. All of my project files, they always have the same folder structure inside it. That's already in the template, so that I don't have to recreate it. And then the process of how I edit a video is also generally very similar. Is I would drop all the footage in. Normally, most of the videos that I edit, it's about the story. It's about someone talking. It's about someone bringing some message across. But what I always do is I always edit the audio track first. The person speaking to the music without any visuals, and only as soon as that's done and approved by the client, I would only ever touch any of the clips and start editing in the timeline with visuals.
So that
is something that that I haven't really seen from many other people, but that I'm very particular about. Is I'm always thinking first in terms of an audio, and if that's good already, and then people are like, yeah, this is exactly the message, then the footage puts itself in place by itself, basically, because then you know, like, here's person saying that, and that clip from the raw material fits there, so that's how you puzzle it together.
So the first like rough cut that you're doing, it's like completely without videos, only audio, or?
Yeah, I've gone over to do that with most of my client projects. Is I'm telling them, hey, so that I know that because the putting the clips in order, the color grading and so on, that's the very tedious part. And that can take really long. And what I want to, and then if they come back and say like, yeah, okay, but the story really doesn't work, and here he can't say these lines here, that doesn't make any sense. I've had that before, and I'm like, okay, if we had talked about this earlier, I wouldn't have had to edit to this, and we could have cut out the entire section. So instead, you could just edit the voice track first, edit to the music, make it sound like a cool audio, if it's a 1 minute video or a 4 minute or a 5 minute video, those are typically the kinds of videos that I do. And then I just export it, listen to it, and then I send that to the client and ask for approval, because sometimes they also, on the one of the projects, we needed to interview one of their clients, so they in the end need to sign off on everything that was said. And that's way easier to just send an audio track before any of the video editing is done, with just the audio track to listen to, and they're like, yeah, that sounds good, that's great, it's approved, it makes a lot of sense, it's bringing all the statements that we want to have across, and then the video is just basically just turning it into something you can post on YouTube and so on. But it's way more important about what's the story, what's the points that are being brought, and what's mentioned. So I always start with that, and then I give them that for approval, and then afterwards I do the video edit.
It's an interesting approach, but it's also kind of similar to like what I'm hearing with storytelling and thinking about what are you trying to tell with the video that you're doing, and then like using the visuals and stuff to complement to that and to make the message stronger, instead of like, I'm gonna have a nice looking video, yeah, but what are you actually communicating? Did you think about that part? Like,
that's exactly the thing. So I noticed for myself, especially when I did those reaction videos, that everybody is all about these fancy transitions and zooms, and especially when lots of people have been sending in their personal videos to me, like, can you react to this? Can you react to this? Can you react to this? I'm like looking at them, and they all look the same. They're always trying these fancy zoom transitions and all that stuff, and none of them have an interesting story to tell. Like, okay, start with that first, maybe. So it's been for all the bigger videos that I do, it's that process. For me, it's worked best. So I'm doing this in every single project. It's always audio first.
Yeah. So do you have a goal for like the next couple of years in terms of the content that you're creating? Like, what are you moving towards, any certain type of content, or?
Yeah, what I want to do is, so without tooting my own horn, but for anyone who might be interested, they should look at those 3 episodes that I made for Epidemic Sound from the series called The Leap. Can either find them on my channel or just type it in Epidemic Sound, Florian Land, The Leap. It's one about Karen Nate, one about Stefan Kunz, and one about pickup lines. And those are the videos that I'm most passionate about, and I think that's where I can stand out against any other video creator. So currently on the project that I'm doing for this big brand is we're getting together like the best video creators, and all of them would blow me out of the water in terms of editing, video quality, and all that. What I feel like where I can compete is telling like 4 or 5 minute stories that in the end give you like that one thought where you think like, wow, yeah, okay, that kind of brought me to think. That's how I got these. That's why I think John Olsen posted all the highlight videos that I did, because I really thought of them as like a 8 to 10 minute story that is really gets you emotional when you look at it, and that's what I enjoy doing most. It's also the most painful in the editing because it takes freaking long. But what I want to do is basically that kind of a series, but on my own channel, because at one point in time, is that also where I see like getting those clients project bringing in as much money as possible, because at the same time, then I can use that money to then pay myself a trip to XYZ YouTuber that I want to just film for having a cool documentary series on my own channel. And that is one of the next things that I have planned in the long term for my own video content.
Cool.
I haven't found a name for the series yet, so if you want to get creative, David, I can use some good input there. You can think about it, and then
some creative process going on.
Let's chat about it another time.
Exactly. So I think that we are going to jump into the final questions.
Or like rapid fire questions.
So.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, bring it on.
I'm actually throwing a creative task back to you to give me a name to this section because I don't know a good name for it.
How's it called so far?
Final questions. That's.
Oh, that must be the lightning round or something like this.
Yeah, lightning round.
It needs to be like lightning round I think those are typical for such kind of interviews. It's that the lightning round, and he's like, answer within 1 or 2 sentences. The lightning round. David, give me the lightning round.
I'm actually writing that down. Yeah, so there's a couple of like quick questions, and then after a while there is some questions that maybe a little bit longer, but yeah, you will see.
Okay.
So
give me the quick ones first.
The quick ones. I think I know the first one already, but Mac or PC?
As PC, obviously. And sorry, I need to talk about this a bit more to give some extra info. My opinion, I have used a Mac before for one project. When you are a starting out freelance content creator, you need to flip every single euro twice to make it work. So spending €1,000 extra on paying for that brand, in my head, is complete and utter bullshit. Because you could use that 1,000 extra euros that you pay less for having a Dell laptop like I have here, for example, and use it on a camera and make yourself a rig. And then instead of having a fancy Mac laptop, you have a fancy Windows laptop and a camera rig. Because that one together with that computer costs as much as a MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
So for me, is that for everyone who's starting out with that, it's like when I hear I want to buy myself an MacBook and so on, I would just like to hit them. Because why?
I'm gonna make you like.
So I get very emotional about this because
I'm gonna make you even.
I don't understand.
I'm gonna make you even more frustrated right now because last year when I started freelancing, I just had like a working computer, so I didn't have my own laptop actually. So I went and bought a MacBook, and half a year later, when I was in Bali earlier this year, I had it in my backpack. I was like at the beach. I was up on a cliff, and then there was coming this big wave all over me, crashing the MacBook. So I had to pay like €1,000 to fix it. So
yeah, and for that €1,000, you could buy a new laptop entirely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the pain you had to endure through this it should teach you a lesson.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Just saying, everybody can decide for themselves, but
yeah,
that's just my point of view.
Also, one thing I learned was to always have insurance, always have waterproof cases for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next question, Premiere Pro or Final Cut?
Premiere Pro. And good that I'm not sponsored by Adobe. It's crashing on me so freaking often. And it's not a problem with the computer.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Tell me about it.
And then thinking about how much I pay in licensing fees with my standard normal license now. It's like every single month I'm thinking I'm going to switch to DaVinci Resolve. I'm like, okay, but I know every single button in Premiere Pro by now, so I'll stick with it. And I give them another chance. I'm patient with Adobe. Please, Adobe, fix it. I'm always confident that they can.
It's like a.
But at least once per day that when I'm really in editing, I'm just want to smash my computer because of Premiere Pro crash.
Yeah, it's like a love-hate relationship.
It is. Because I know the project program in and out, and it does exactly what I want it to. If it doesn't crash.
Yeah.
Now I won't get sponsored by Adobe anymore.
So would you double your watch time on your YouTube channel or double your subscriber count?
Well, would you set that as a goal? Because you can't do either one by yourself.
Yeah, but if like magically it would happen overnight, like you have.
Well, if you could flip a magic switch, I would go for doubling the watch time, because that's gonna help bring more traffic to your YouTube channel and make it promote more over than just randomly having a double as big number that says there. But let's be honest, like and I just saw that as soon as you hit your first 1,000 subscribers, which you're gonna soon do, David. Yeah.
977.
That is also going to make a big difference, because people see that and they're like, okay, the guy seems to be fairly legit. Otherwise, he wouldn't have 1,000 subscribers. It does make a difference, because people judge by a glance, and they look at the numbers. And if it says 1,000 or 2,000 instead of 200, it does make a difference.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen the rest of the year, because it took like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years to go up to 400, and then like half a year to go from 400 to 900. So we'll see.
You just have to stick with
Yeah.
it and then ride the wave.
Yeah, like consistency got me here, so that's definitely something that I need to continue with. But yeah, this next one might be a bit tricky. Would you always use autofocus or always use auto white balance?
Also,
For
in general, I am using auto white balance
Oh.
because I'm lazy, to be honest. And as long as it's not totally fucked, I know how to fix it. But if you're a professional, and sometimes it needs to go quick, and then you use auto white balance. Okay. With that setup, I'm not really using autofocus. What I do is sort of a half autofocus. So I have a back button that is set for autofocus on. So I frame the shot, I press the button to focus on whatever is the subject, and then I release it, and then it's in manual mode back again, basically. So I use, instead of just dialing here and driving in the focus, which is super not quick, instead of I use the autofocus to do that for me, and then I switch out of it and have manual focus.
I've actually started doing that recently, and I thought like, I wonder if anyone else is doing this.
Yeah, I'm doing it. So for me, it's Captain Obvious. So I take the camera, I like frame it, autofocus. So now it's in focus, and then I can do my sliding or whatever motion I have, so that it just stays locked in with that manual focus that I set. So it's a half automatic focus, autofocus hack. But also, since it's like a Panasonic that I'm filming on, it's kind of the only option. And I'm having an adaptive lens even. So autofocus wouldn't really be a good option anymore.
So I know you, just like me, are often wearing hoodies. So the next question is, hoodie with or without a zipper?
With a zipper.
With a zipper.
Always.
Because you have the option to close and open it, I guess.
Yeah, it's like you cannot wear a hoodie without a zipper. It's a no.
So what's a non-video related thing that you have on your desk?
I was reading that question before you sent it to me, and then I was like, really, I'm just looking through it, and the only thing I currently have on my desk is a light bulb.
Oh.
That is from my fridge that broke.
Oh.
And since I'm very scatterbrained sometimes, it just lies there to remind me to order a new light bulb. You want to guess how long it's been lying there?
Couple of weeks?
4
weeks. Yeah.
There's still no light in my fridge, but so much to being organized.
I thought it was something about like generating ideas, like it was a symbolic thing that you had a light bulb.
No. And I would love to be that deep thought about it, but it's unfortunately it isn't.
That's the like after construction of it.
Yeah, we can frame it that way. It sounds way cooler.
Yeah, so the next one is, what's one thing people don't know about you?
I tried to become a professional cyclist for a while. That is something that I haven't really talked about on my YouTube channel too much. It was also not successful, to be honest. But yeah, that was what I did when I was between 20 and 23. What basically most of my time and energy went into, until eventually I realized, like, no, I don't have what it takes, and I wouldn't go that far as to what it would take in terms of time, effort, and training and all that. So yeah, that from one point from one day to the other, basically that dream shattered, and I was already at a pretty high level. So I was taking part in races that were like internationally and against really like those people that are now cycling in like the biggest leagues of cycling. I have done a couple of races against those people, but I would have never even been close to making it as a professional. So that is something that I haven't really talked about much on my YouTube channel, but that's something that most people don't really know yet.
So I've been like playing ice hockey all my life. So like a question that I'm interested in myself is, was it a big difference for how much time you put into video creation after you like decided to not chase that dream anymore, or did you like do it parallel?
No, it replaced it.
Yeah.
There was a bit of time in between, but it kind of replaced it. So it then became like I was getting super obsessed about the entire cycling stuff. Everything that I did and talked about and focused and spent my time on was cycling related. And then at one point in time, I realized, hey, this is not going where I wanted to go. So I kind of abandoned it from one day to the next one. And then there was a huge gap to fill. And then like a year, I don't know, I think it's 2 or 3 years later, the video thing came around. And then so I got super obsessed about that. And so it fully replaced it. And in the meantime, I'm still doing the cycling, but I'm doing it way more because now I enjoy writing way less than about results and all those sorts of things. And at the same time, it's like I realized that making money with cycling is like absolute zero chance. Whereas with the video thing, it very quickly became apparent like, yeah, okay, that could actually work. Yeah.
It's interesting to hear because it's like basically the exact same thing for me and ice hockey.
Yeah.
So
eventually, like I still am happy that I'm doing it super regularly. Right before our call, I was on the bike for 3.5 hours. So I continue doing this, but it's a hobby now, and I do it for fun and for relaxing and for fitness and staying in shape and so on. But not with any like outcome in mind anymore.
Yeah. Maybe it's good to do something that it's like completely different from content creation also.
Yeah, because if that is also this is the same thing as I said before, is if this is now your job and your main hobby, that can also get difficult after a while when you're like, okay, just leave me alone with editing.
Yeah.
The filming is always fun, but the editing is the painful part that you then get fed up.
Yeah. I almost feel the opposite, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like in editing, I'm always like in that creative zone. In filming, there's like so many different things that can happen, like outside things that you can't like control the same way as when you're editing. Or maybe it's just like an image in my head.
Are you a bit of the control freak?
Yeah, maybe.
That you need to have everything sorted.
Yeah.
So that's for me is for all those video projects, especially when they're like you need to film on that day, whatever happens and whatever doesn't work. And then afterwards it's like okay, now to figure out what to do with it. That is when you get creative on the editing and on the timeline. Nevertheless, for those projects that I've been filming this year, it's 1 day of editing, 1 day of filming, and 5 days of editing for a project. Yeah. So that is it is the painful and tedious part. And it's lonely, and you sit there late at night and
and suddenly it has been like 5 hours and you haven't eaten anything or
that I haven't eaten anything. That doesn't happen with me normally.
So if you would give a shout out to someone, who would that be and why?
So 2 sides of that. So first of all, shout out to you for making this entire thing here happen, David.
Thank you.
Very good. The one thing is that I've learned from my own experience of getting shout outs. They're most often worthless, and we have very high expectations that something like this would grow our channels or our reach. And I've come to the realization that I've seen many people that have gotten some sort of a shout out, and then they jump from here to there, and then you look at their social blade statistics, and then you see that they did jump from here to there, and they're like, okay, what happened there? Appeared in a Peter McKinnon video, and then before that, their channel has been growing like tiny bit, and then afterwards it keeps growing at the same rate. And then you think like, okay, wow, great for you that you got that one shout out, but it didn't help you to figure out what your content actually is supposed to be that grows your channel. So if you hadn't had that shout out, you would still be growing at that rate. So I think that shout outs can be for many beginning content creators, they're always like, oh, if I could just get to appear in someone else's video and get a shout out, that doesn't fix the problem. So for anyone, it's like the biggest thing for any starting video creator or YouTuber is like to try grow without any shout outs, because then you'll sit there later on and think like, I only had this growth because I figured it out for myself.
Yeah, you want to get the growth out of your own.
Because if you get those suddenly 50,000 subscribers and then you look at your continuing growth and then you see it's like it doesn't do anything, you will always know that it came from that one shout out. People might not know, but you yourself will always know. And that is a very unsatisfying feeling, because you can't say that you figured it out for yourself. And you can't, this is like if you cycle up a mountain and then someone comes and drags you with a car, and then you're up there, but the point was to you exert energy and effort and bring all that and then be upstairs and then look down and be proud about the effort, not being on top.
Yeah. I heard another like explanation of that if you are playing a game on your phone or your computer, and if there was like a magical button where you can finish the game, would you click that button or would you continue playing? Like you do it because of the game, because of the journey.
Yeah, because of the playing.
Yeah. So, so where were we? Kind of lost track.
After the shout out.
Yeah. Now I remember. I was actually thinking about. I have a good example of that, because I had a video on my channel that it wasn't a shout out, but it went viral, and I think I had about 200,000 views on that video, and I only had like a couple of hundred subscribers. I think it went viral when I had like 100 subscribers, and at the beginning I was thinking like, well, that's great, because now I get a lot of views. My channel was growing quite quickly for a couple of weeks. I mean, like 100 new subscribers or something, so that was a lot for me then. But then if I look at my statistics, like 2 months later, it was basically back to where it was before. And the subscriber count wasn't growing, like nothing was happening. And it was also a video that it got me attention because of something that I wasn't, that I didn't do myself, or that I wasn't proud of, or it was basically just some news bloopers from the TV. So it wasn't even connected to what I was doing. So I actually removed that video, and that was, I think it was about the same time when I started with these live episodes. So I'm publishing like long form content regularly about something that I'm interested in, while also creating this like short tutorials, also about video editing. And I think those things together, with also removing the stuff that wasn't relevant, then my channel was actually starting to like slowly grow every month.
Yeah, because people comment that channel and then they instantly think like, is this for me? Am I right here? And then if they see stuff that belongs together, and then it clicks for them and they're like, yeah, okay, that is for me. That's exactly why I'm subscribing, because they want to see more of that. But if it's something about this topic, if I would post on my channel stuff about cycling, stuff about video editing, stuff about freelancing, stuff about finance, people will be confused. What am I here for?
Yeah, I think I've been there myself, and I think a lot of people are there where they're like, I get that they want to experiment with different stuff, but at some point you still need to find some kind of lane to go.
Yeah, I mean, you can experiment as long as you want, but the moment that you say, hey, this is about, this shall grow the channel, then, and it's totally cool to do the experimenting. I did it myself, but at that moment where you decide like, hey, this channel shall really grow into something, then you need to make that change.
I think a good like explanation of it is like the easiest way to get from point A to point B is like a straight road. And if you try
Yeah.
all the different roads, then it will take a longer time. Maybe you have to like figure out what road is the best, but then when you decide that, just keep going that road.
Yeah.
Um,
Very true.
so, yeah, the final question. Is there anything that we can help you with? And it could be like some collaboration or some help with editing or something that you're searching for or anything.
For the definitely gonna be as soon as the creator circle stuff is gonna come back. That is gonna be a collaborative effort. Any help on that one will be worth gold. Because I think that is something that is bigger than just me. I'm the one initiating it and it needs someone who's pushing it. But then that's also why I created a Facebook group around it, so that people have they could just hang out with each other now if they wanted. It's like it hasn't really picked up yet, to be honest, but it's supposed to be there so that people can connect with each other if they want to. Like, I'm not going to force them, and whoever wants to help out with this, that's going to make it so much easier. But yeah, as I'm going to try to bring it back, and then anyone who wants to help, wants to come, wants to join, that is going to be super highly appreciated.
I think it's just a win-win for everyone going there.
And then we need to hope that the corona situation is going to go over now, and then actually we can do something like this again. But yeah, I'm confident it's going to come back eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe end of the year.
I hope so. So,
And this time we won't have an excuse not to come.
Time is running by. I'm super happy that you said yes to being on the live.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the invitation, and big thanks again for helping me on the first meetup then.
Yeah,
so,
no worries.
And really hope that you're going to be on one of the next ones again.
Definitely. So thank you for joining, and for everyone watching, thank you so much. I hope that we brought some value and some insights into starting out as a content creator, and some things to think about, maybe some stuff that you haven't thought about before, hopefully. So that's it. I hope to see you guys in the next episode. So bye.
Over and out.